Namaste Bitya. Myself JVN Neha Saini from Physiotherapy and Diagnostics, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Here I am going to tell you about the blood supply of the brain. Now the blood supply of the brain is supplied by the two arteries, that is carotid and the vertebral artery. The carotid artery is the internal carotid system. It is supplying 80% of the blood to the brain. It is forming the anterior circulation, and the posterior circulation is formed by the vertebral and basilar system, which is a branch of subclavian artery. These two arteries anastomose and forms a circle known as circle of Willis. So this is the diagram for the circle of Willis and all the branches which are arising from the circle of Willis to supply the brain. So first we study about the internal carotid artery. It has a cervical part. The cervical part which is lying in the neck. So the branches in the cervical part, there is no branch in the cervical region, that is in the neck. Internal carotid artery does not provide any branch. Then the second part is intrapetrous part of the internal carotid artery. Intrapetrous means within the petrous part of temporal bone. So this is the intrapetrous part. This is the intrapetrous part. This is the temporal bone, and within this bone, this is the intrapetrous part of the temporal bone. Then come to the intrapetrous part branches. Over here is caroticotympanic branch. It enters the middle ear by piercing the thin plate of bone separating the carotid canal from the middle cranial fossa. Then the pterygoid branch, it enters the pterygoid canal. Then the third part is the cavernous part of the internal carotid artery. Cavernous part means the part which is lying in the cavernous sinus. This is the cavernous sinus, the bluish colored area. It is a venous channel, venous sinus. So the part which is lying inside this is the cavernous part. Branches in this area are the cavernous branches to the trigeminal ganglion, superior and inferior hypophyseal arteries to the pituitary gland. So if we begin with the origin of the internal carotid artery, it is a branch of common carotid artery. Common carotid artery arises from the arch of aorta. On the arch of aorta we can see this is the left common carotid artery, and the right common carotid artery arises from the brachiocephalic trunk. This common carotid artery bifurcates at the level of superior border of the thyroid cartilage into two branches. One is internal, other is external carotid artery. So internal carotid artery is one of the terminal branch of the common carotid artery. So these are the four parts of the carotid artery, internal carotid artery. The cervical part which is lying in the neck, then the petrous part lying in the petrous part of the temporal bone, then this is the cavernous part which is lying in the cavernous sinus, and this is the supraclinoid part of the internal carotid artery. So these are the branches of common carotid artery, and then passage of internal carotid artery on the anterior side. This is the anterior part of the circle of Willis, and this is the posterior part of the circle of Willis, which is formed by the vertebral artery. So this is the diagrammatic representation of the internal carotid artery. This is again the diagrammatic representation in the skull, how it appears, how it passes through the petrous part, then through the cavernous part. This is the cavernous sinus, then the supraclinoid part close to the glenoid process of the base of the skull. So here we can again see the cavernous part of the internal carotid artery. These are the branches of the internal carotid artery, that is ophthalmic artery, anterior cerebral artery, and middle cerebral artery. So branches of the internal carotid artery are ophthalmic artery, supplies to the scalp, that is frontal area of the scalp, eyeball, ethmoid and frontal sinus, dorsum of nose. It also provides posterior communicating artery which joins with the posterior cerebral artery and forms the circle of Willis. So here we can see the posterior communicating artery. Then the mnemonic for the branches of internal carotid artery is a VIP scoma. So this you can read and go through it for learning the branches of internal carotid artery. Then we have the second branch, that is the vertebral artery, which is forming the circle of Willis. It is a branch of the first part of the subclavian artery. which passes through the foramina transverse area of the upper 6 cervical vertebrae and enters the skull through foramen magnum. At the lower border of the pons, it joins the opposite vessel and forms the basilar artery. So the vertebral artery is a branch of subclavian artery. Subclavian artery is a direct branch from the arch of aorta on the left side, and on the right side it is a branch of brachiocephalic trunk, as we have seen in the previous image. Vertebral artery also has four parts. The first part is from the subclavian artery up to the C6 transverse process foramen. It is the first part. Second part is from C6, C means cervical vertebrae 6, up to second cervical vertebrae. It is the intraosseous portion. Then the third part is at the C2, that is at the atlas, up to the foramen magnum. Then the fourth part is from the foramen magnum up to its formation into basilar artery. So these are the four parts of the vertebral artery. So in the diagrammatic representation we can see from the origin of the subclavian artery up to the sixth cervical vertebrae. It is the first part. Then from sixth cervical vertebrae up to the second cervical vertebrae, it is the second part. Then the third part is from second cervical vertebrae up to the foramen magnum. This is the third part. Then fourth part is in the foramen magnum, where it joins with the opposite side artery, that is opposite vertebral artery, and forms the basilar artery. This is the fourth part of the vertebral artery. Then the branches of the vertebral artery which is supplying to our nervous system is the anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal artery, posterior inferior cerebellar arteries, and the terminal branch is the basilar artery. All these arteries are depicted in this diagram. So the circle of Willis, also known as circulus arteriosus, the function of this structure is it equalizes the blood flow to different parts of the brain. If one arterial system occluded, blood passes via communicating as to prevent infarction. The branches of the circle of Willis include two types of branches are there, cortical and central arteries. Cortical arteries arise from anterior, middle and posterior cerebral arteries. As they ramify on pia mater forms anastomosis, and they supply the grey and the white matter. They are in two sets, short cortical and the long cortical. So short cortical extend up to the middle of the grey matter, and long cortical, these are 3 to 4 centimeters long and run up to superficial white matter. They are not end arteries. Then cortical arteries, these are anterior cerebral artery, middle cerebral, posterior cerebral and posterior inferior cerebral arteries. So these arteries can be visualized in this diagram. Then central arteries. These are the branches of circle of Willis. They penetrate the base of the brain. They supply the internal structures like internal capsule, thalamus, basal ganglia. They are arranged in four sets: anteromedial, paired anterolateral, paired and posterolateral, and posteromedial. Both central and cortical arteries are surrounded by a pia mater sheath. So this is the circle of Willis. It is very important diagram. Then lenticular striate arteries. These are most important, clinically most important arteries. The central branches of middle cerebral arteries. These are the central branches of middle cerebral arteries. They pierce anterior perforated substance and enter the white matter. They pass through lentiform nucleus to reach the internal capsule. They supply upper part of internal capsule in lentiform and caudate nuclei. Some are long, slender, thin-walled and prone to rupture in hypertension. This is known as Charcot's artery of cerebral hemorrhage. So in this diagram we can see the branch of middle cerebral artery. This is the middle cerebral artery and these are the lenticular striate branches which are supplying to the internal capsule. This structure is the internal capsule. It is very important. Then cerebral arteries. They are supplied by the circle of Willis. Cerebral arteries are three in number, that is anterior, middle and posterior cerebral arteries. Anterior cerebral artery supplies the medial, frontal and parietal lobes. Middle cerebral artery supplies the majority of lateral part of the hemisphere. The color is given. Then the orange color area, that is the posterior cerebral artery, supplies the medial as well as inferior temporal lobes and the occipital lobes. So the area which are supplied by the three cerebral arteries are shown with the help of color. Yellow color area is the area supplied by the anterior cerebral artery on the lateral as well as medial brain. Red color area is the area supplied by the middle cerebral artery, and the blue color area is the area which is supplied by the posterior cerebral artery. Then the venous drainage. It is very thin wall. No walls are found in the veins of the cerebrum, which is draining the cerebrum, and they are lying in the subarachnoid space. They drain into cranial venous sinuses, ultimately drain into internal jugular vein. The cerebral veins are three types: external, internal cerebral veins, and the terminal veins. The external cerebral veins include superior cerebral veins, middle cerebral veins, inferior cerebral veins, and some other veins are also there, like deep cerebral, anterior cerebral, striate veins from the basal vein. The external cerebral veins, the first one is the superior cerebral vein. So in the diagram we can see the superior cerebral vein along the superior sagittal sinus. These are 8 to 12 in number. They drain the superolateral as well as medial surface of the brain. They ascend upwards, then they reach to the arachnoid matter, subdural space, and then drain into superior sagittal sinus. Then we have middle cerebral veins. These are 4 in number, 2 on each side. These are divided into two: superficial middle cerebral and the deep middle cerebral. On the medial surface, lateral surface of the brain, we can see the superficial middle cerebral veins. So these are again the venous sinuses which are in the durameter. Deep middle cerebral vein drain the insula and is joined by the anterior cerebral vein and the striate vein to form the basal vein. Then basal vein joins the great cerebral vein, which in turn drains into straight sinus. So here we can see the straight sinus, which is formed by the joining of the great cerebral vein and the basal vein. In the diagram we can see this is the basal vein and this is the straight sinus. Here also we can see the anterior cerebral vein and the deep middle cerebral vein joins and forms the striate vein. So this is the diagrammatic representation of the venous drainage of the inferior surface of the brain. Then the inferior cerebral veins, these are very numerous and these are found in the orbital and tentorial areas. In the orbital areas they terminate in superior sagittal sinus, and the veins in the tentorial areas they terminate in the cavernous sinus. Then anterior cerebral veins. In the diagram we can see the anterior cerebral vein. These are very small veins draining the corpus callosum and anterior part of the medial surface of the hemisphere. They terminate in the basal vein. Then internal cerebral veins, the one vein on each side, it is formed by the union of thalamostriate and choroidal veins at the apex of the third ventricle. So we can see the internal cerebral veins of the ear. So these are again the internal cerebral veins. Then terminal veins. These are great cerebral vein and the basal vein. The great cerebral vein of Galen, this is the complete name, and its length is 2 cm. It is formed by the union of two internal cerebral veins. So in the diagram we can see this is the great cerebral vein of Galen. It receives two basal veins. The two internal cerebral veins join to form great cerebral vein, and this great cerebral vein of Galen then further drains into straight sinus. This is the straight sinus. Then the basal vein of Rosenthal. Basal vein of Rosenthal is formed at the base of the brain and is formed by the union of three veins. Remember these are anterior cerebral vein, deep middle cerebral vein, and the striate vein. Basal vein terminates into great cerebral vein of Galen. So this diagram again showing you the fusion of great basal vein with the great cerebral vein of Galen. Then the blood supply of the spinal cord. It is supplied by the anterior spinal, posterior spinal, and segmental spinal arteries. Anterior spinal artery originates from the right and left vertebral arteries in the upper cervical canal. It runs caudally in the anterior median fissure and terminates into filum terminale. It supplies the anterior 2/3 part of the spinal cord. In the diagram we can see the anterior spinal artery. This is the anterior spinal artery, and this is the area supplied by the anterior spinal artery. Then the two posterior spinal arteries are there. They arises from the vertebral and the posterior inferior cerebral arteries. They run in the posterior lateral sulcus, divide into two collateral arteries, medial and the lateral, along the posterior nerve roots. They communicate around the spinal cord, forms the pial plexus, arterial vasocorona and arteria coronae, and they supplies the posterior 1/3 of the spinal cord. So here we can see the formation of the posterior spinal artery by the pica as well as the vertebral artery. This is the posterior spinal artery, which is supplying the posterior 1/3 of the spinal cord. Then the segmental arteries are there. These are the branches of D: cervical, ascending cervical, intercostal and lumbar branches. Segmental arteries are rising at different segments of the spinal cord. So segmental arteries are the feeders reach the cord as anterior and the posterior radicular arteries. Anterior radicular arteries, these are larger and less in number. Posterior radicular arteries, these are smaller and more in number. Great anterior medullary artery of Adam-Kiewicz arises from aorta at the level of T12 or L1 vertebrae level, unilateral left side. So here we can see the artery of Adam-Kiewicz arising at the level of T12 to L1 vertebrae. Then the venous drainage of the spinal cord includes the 2 median longitudinal, 2 anterolateral and 2 posterolateral veins. The venous drainage is like the spinal veins form a loose knit plexus in which there are an anterior and posterior midline longitudinal vein on each side of the pair of longitudinal veins. We have posterior to anterior and posterior nerve roots. So these veins drain into internal cerebral venous plexus, and then via external cerebral venous plexus they drain into segmental veins. Then at the foramen magnum they communicate with the veins of the medulla. So this is the venous drainage of the spinal cord. Then come to the applied. There is disorders in the arterial supply like stroke. The brain is particularly sensitive to oxygen starvation. So stroke is acute development of a neurological deficit due to disturbance in the blood supply of the brain. Brain cells begin to die within minutes due to reduction in the deprivation of blood supply. So the brain areas affected by the stroke, these are the areas supplied by the particular cerebral artery. There are 4 main causes of cerebral vascular accident like thrombosis, that is obstruction of a blood vessel by a locally forming clot. Embolism means obstruction of blood vessel by an emboli which is formed elsewhere and come to a particular cerebral artery. Hypoperfusion means underperfusion of the brain due to symmetrically low blood pressure, example shock. Hemorrhage means accumulation of blood within the cranial cavity because of the rupture of an artery. Then intracerebral aneurysm, like aneurysm is a dilatation of an artery which is greater than 50% of normal diameter. They are most likely to occur in the circle of Willis, and they are particularly dangerous because they produce no symptom until they rupture. Once the artery wall has ruptured, it is a medical emergency and the patient is likely to die unless treated swiftly. So next is the subdural hemorrhage. It results from tearing of superior cerebral veins at the entrance of the superior sagittal sinus. Cause is a blow on the front or back of the head, causing anteroposterior displacement of the brain within the skull. Blood under the low pressure begins to accumulate in the space between the dura and the arachnoid. So here we can see the subdural hemorrhage because of torn cerebral vein, and there is accumulation of the blood beneath the dura mater. Then the questions related to this topic is write short note on blood supply of the brain. Here you have to mention about the arteries as well as veins of the brain, and then blood supply of the spinal cord, the similar question in which you have to mention the arteries as well as the veins of the spinal cord. For your exercise, this is the diagram you have to draw in your files and label all the branches which are unlabeled over here, which are marked over here. So please use red color for the arteries. So this completes our topic, the blood supply of the brain and the spinal cord. Thank you.